We're looking at college football 2023. We're up to week 12. Yeah, week 12. It seems just like I blinked and I was doing my first video previewing the lowly week 0, which, by the way, we're now inside as of today, July the 19th. We're inside 6 weeks to week 0. We're about 6.5 weeks roughly to week 1. And that's when everybody is playing full speed ahead. Hey, I'm going to dive into this in just a second. I'm Brian Knight. I'm not Bobby Durkins, at least not right here. If you're new, I always say this: if you're new, subscribe. It's free. Hit the thumbs up. It's free. And yeah, you can even hit the little bell there. Notice I didn't do my hands like that, like I did on the other videos. And it will notify you when I go live. So let's dive into this. I started this preview just to give you an idea of the games that will be coming up. Now, I'm using FBSschedules.com. I've been using this the entire time. I'm putting it in the comments section here of the chat. I always try to put it in the description of the video. I failed, folks. I failed. I'm sorry. But I did put it there in the comment section. What's up, Graphnarts? Good to see you, my friend, my Charleston buddy. Says thumbs up, people. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. So, look, we're going to dive right into this. As I'm sharing my screen, I will tell you this, that I like to go through the FBSschedules.com, and I like to look for games that will interest me throughout the year. And there it is, week 12. But before I dive into that, I'll tell you this. I like to look for the games that are interesting. I like to look for the games that I know that there's a good chance it will still be a worthwhile game once we get there, even if it's later in the season. Why? Let me tell you why. This is the time to go ahead and get those games on your radar. I know it's way back here in July, and there's games we're talking about in October. There's games we're talking about in November. But I'm telling you, now is the time to go ahead and get your schedule straightened out, get the birthday parties in your calendar. This is the time to get your events ironed out, so you don't have to miss these games. And also, if you're trying to make it to specific games, this is the time to go ahead and buy the tickets. I'm not going to tell you what game I bought tickets to today, but I will tell you that it is it's one of those games that's flying under the radar of major college football. But if you pay attention to college football, you like college football, and you're here in the South, these two teams, they're a big deal. I'll go ahead and tell you it's not Clemson. But I went ahead and bought the tickets today. My oldest is very happy, and we're even going to make it a nice little trip for a couple of days. So I'll leave it at that. But this is a great time for you to go ahead and figure out what you're going to do. So we're at 4-minute mark, and I'm just now talking about this. If you're new to the show, you know I do this from time to time. If you're a new viewer, please forgive me. All right, let's dive right into this week 12 preview. This will be the week of November the 14th, or the first game will be November the 14th, and that's a Tuesday night. Now, this is like the 4th or 5th week in a row that college football has a Tuesday night game. Now, some people are not fans of this. For me, I am. I like it. These are lower level teams. If they're playing on a Thursday night and there's a good game on, I'm not going to watch these teams. If there's a game, obviously, if these games slated right here are playing on Saturday, I'm probably not watching it at all. In fact, I'm like, that's trash. But it's a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, according to whoever's playing. I'll actually watch these games. I will actually watch these games. So Tuesday night, nothing to write home about unless you're a fan of these schools. Wednesday night, nothing to write home about unless you're a fan of these schools. Same with Thursday. You got Boston College and Pitt, but I mean, come on, y'all. Now, Friday features a school, and I always like to bring up the schools that I have my eyes on. Once again, let me tell you this: when you do what I do, you get on here. If you have a channel, a YouTube channel, all you have to say is, "Hey, I think UTSA is going to be a solid team this year." This is what some moron out there hears. Brian just said that he believes UTSA is a front runner for the national championship. I never said that. What I said was they will be a fun team to watch this year, and I think that they'll be good. They'll be playing South Florida at UTSA on November the 17th. It's a Friday night. You might want to check it out. Colorado and Washington State. That'll be an interesting game just because of Deion alone. Then we get into November the 18th. Now, as I infamously say every week, and I say infamously, I really don't even know why I say that. But by this time in the season, we're going to find out, and I'm going to name drop here. I think we're going to find out teams like Penn State. They're a good football team, but they're not what's being shoved down our throats right now in July. The team that Penn State supposedly is, right? They're supposed to be a top 10 front runner for the Big Ten, top 10 front runner for a potential playoff appearance. They're going to do what Penn State always does, blow it. Oh, they're a good football team. They're not terrible. They're not Vanderbilt. They're terrible, but they're not terrible. They're not the team that we're being told that they are. Neither is Texas. Show me. If I'm wrong, I'll go, hey, it's the first time you've used your talent. I always tick off Georgia fans when I say this. It's like, congrats on the 2 national championships, man. If I was a Georgia fan, I'd be excited. I wouldn't be too happy about all the allegations going on. That's quite provable. And, someone losing their life during the party time, and we're trying to sweep this under the rug. But the whole thing with Georgia is you finally used your talent. Good job. It's the same with Penn State and Texas. So by this time of the season, we're going to know whether they're actually legit or if they always do what they do. As my alter ego Bobby Durkin says, they continue to wet the bed. Got Tiger Paul Craven in here as well. Tiger Paul Craven and my buddy Jordan Bowman. They have a show with, they actually run the Voice of College Football Clemson channel for Mark Rogers. Mark didn't ask me. I'm going to tell you why Mark didn't ask me. Because he's afraid Bobby Durkins would show up. It is in good hands. We got to get on this. We got to get back on the show again together. Tiger Paul Craven. You and Jordan either have to come back here. I've got to go there. We can work out both. Grafnar with the world-class state pen response. Okay, so we dive into November the 18th, and we see games that really has no national implication, but if you know about the specific team, you know that week it's a big deal. Harvard at Yale. Whether you like the 2 schools or everything, I'm just saying that's a historically big game. Hopefully they won't protest like they did a few years ago where they went and sat in the middle of the field and couldn't move forward. Anyway, Furman at Wofford. If you're outside of the upstate of South Carolina, that game means nothing to you. You might live in the upstate of South Carolina, and that game still means nothing to you, but it's 2 FCS schools who's within 30 minutes of each other. Coastal Carolina goes to Army. Army's now running the shotgun formation. It's crazy, isn't it? So far, the games are not that big of a deal. You're going down, you're seeing Princeton and Penn, who cares? You got Citadel and ETSU, who cares? You keep going down. So far, this week is a sleeper. I mean, look at this. This is not good football up to this point. Wake Forest and Notre Dame, the only reason that game is worth a crap is because Sam Hartman has to play against the team that he played for like 10 years. And by the way, Sam Hartman's a good quarterback. I'm just telling you, I wouldn't have made that move that they made with him for just 1 year. Now, letting Tyler Buchner go. Is Tyler Buchner the greatest quarterback to ever play? No, I'm not. I'm just telling you, he has more longevity than Sam Hartman. I know Buchner got hurt, so has Sam Hartman. Have you ever looked at anyway? But so far, this is unimpressive football. It's like the last hurrah before the big rivalry games. You know, the Bamas and Auburns. It's those games. It's the Ohio State and Michigan, whether you love them or hate them. That's still a big game. You know, Florida State. When you get into this part, you can tell that there's a lot of teams that are playing crappy teams right before they go into their big rivalry game. And rightfully so. Now we have UCLA and USC playing each other. You know, crosstown rivals, something like that. It's a big deal on paper, but it's really not that big of a game anymore. Utah and Arizona. Utah should trounce them. Washington and Oregon State. Michael Penix Jr. playing against DJ, if he's still the quarterback at that point. I'm pulling for DJ. I hope he does well. I believe he was in the wrong system. I've talked about that at nauseum. A lot of you are like, I just don't even talk about it anymore. But you can see that week 12, it's so funny that leading up to this point, once you got into about week 4, week 3, somewhere in there, games got really good. But you see a bunch of sleepers here. Now, if you're Clemson folk like me, this North Carolina game is a big deal to you. You have Drake May, I believe the best quarterback who will be available. I'm talking about total package. Total package. Someone I would trust if I was an NFL team and I needed a quarterback, I would trust my organization with him. Total package. He has to come to Clemson and play. The last time he played Clemson, it didn't turn out too well. Clemson brought in this kid who had been sitting on the bench all year, who in the past, had he been sitting behind Trevor Lawrence, he would have actually got more playing time than what he did behind DJ. I want you to think about that. DJ actually got more playing time sitting behind Lawrence than Klubnik did sitting behind DJ. It's interesting. North Carolina and Clemson. It's an ACC championship rematch. Will Clemson be in the top 10 at this point? Will Clemson be higher? If Clemson makes it to this point of the season and they're undefeated, they're ranked higher than 9. Because they already played Florida State. They'd already played NC State. They'd already played Notre Dame 2 weeks prior to this. There's a great chance this is now. Is North Carolina going to be a top 25 team? I mean, they lost Josh Downs. Anytime they did bad last year or maybe struggled, was not because of Drake May. In fact, the only reason they were still in games was because of Drake May. Sam Howell, I mean, tell you, man, what hard. I feel so horrible for Sam Howell because that guy was a workhorse, and in his last year, everybody turned on him like, man, North Carolina looks terrible. Dude, if it wasn't for Sam Howell, good grief, can you imagine the crap that North Carolina would have went through? You thought their season was bad before. By the way, I hate all these ads and stuff, but I really like this site because of its ease of use. But yeah, all the affiliate marketing ads, I despise it. Scroll on down. Here's a game that's interesting to me. Baylor and TCU. I'm going to go ahead and give you an asterisk. I'll give myself an out. I have not looked at Baylor's football team in depth. I haven't. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark. Baylor might be better than what everybody's thinking they're going to be. I didn't say they're going to win their conference. I didn't say that no. It just seems like Baylor is like, they're going to be bad this year. I'm not sold on that. That'll be an interesting game. Don't be shocked if they're better than what everybody thinks they are. And if I'm Dave Aranda, that's exactly what I want. I want everybody to think, oh man, they're not going to be that good. You can catch people off guard. And by the time teams are actually taking you serious, you've won 2 or 3 games that you were not supposed to win. You're bowl bound. And Grafnar, you bring up a good one there. Louisville and Miami. Louisville, their son Brian Brohm has returned. He is home. They're playing against Mario Cristobal. So 2 alumni. They're coaching their former teams. They do play for him. That's what alumni means. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got up really early this morning. I couldn't sleep, and I'm kind of out of it. Y'all forgive me. This game could be, I agree with you, Grafnar. This game could be a little more interesting than what it is. I'm not saying because both teams are playing at a high level. I'm saying because does Miami actually start to get it together at all? Yesterday, I turned on the 2001 national championship between Miami and Nebraska. This team is always arguably brought up as maybe the greatest college football team to ever play. The argument is absolutely valid. And just to see them play football then versus the crapshoot they are now, it's sad. People blamed it on their AD, that the AD, in one person's words, actually said this, feminized Miami. Who knows? Now, this game is not interesting because it's worthwhile. This game is interesting because this team right here and who coaches them. You know me, and if you know me personally, you know that I don't want to go after anyone. It's like even when I've criticized Brandon Streeter, I've always said, look, the guy had to do something right to get his job. He's been successful to be able to have that job even for 1 year. He made a lot of money. He is Clemson alumni. You just don't want to trash somebody. That may be a wonderful person, and maybe the role that they're in, it just wasn't for them. But there's something about the media's obsession with PJ Fleck that I just kept waiting for it to come full circle that this guy was really going to pull that team out of the pits. And I know someone right now who's that you eat, sleep, breathe Minnesota football, or maybe you eat, sleep, breathe Big Ten football. Yes, he had his bright spots. A couple of years ago, they did look good, but they still found ways to blow it. And I'm kind of wondering, is the magic wearing off between the relationship of PJ Fleck and Minnesota? We'll see. I don't see that being a good game to mend it. You could say, oh, if they beat Ohio State, yeah, absolutely. I just don't think that's going to happen. Kentucky and South Carolina is always a really interesting game. That's an interesting game. You know, historically, Kentucky has been a thorn in the side. I say historically, I would have to go back to that, but I've noticed Kentucky has picked off a couple of teams at times. I want to say South Carolina's one of them, and Tennessee's one of the teams that they've picked off. Even when Tennessee had the talent, somehow Kentucky would pick them off every now and again. It didn't happen a lot. And I know somebody's going to come in here and correct me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But from my memory serves me correct. Yeah. South Carolina, everything rests on Spencer Rattler. It's like Tennessee. Everything rests on Joe Milton. Joe Milton comes out there and plays like he played the rest of his college career, save the Clemson game. Tennessee fans are going to be pissed. Like, you take that to the bank. You're not going to find a more irritated fan than Tennessee. But South Carolina would be next. Spencer Rattler, to me, he reminds me of a Milton. Coming out of high school, he's killing it. The guy's mobile. He'll have moments that he looks brilliant. I have seen moments that Spencer Rattler look brilliant. Forget he's a Gamecock, and there's some Clemson fans going, I think you're going a little overboard there. No. Look, you know, one of the things I'm going to tell you. One of the things I'll tell you is, even though I despise the Gamecocks, Shane Beamer, I can't help but like Shane Beamer. I'm like Dabo. Dabo said that. You can't help but like him. You can't help but see him and go, you know what? I could play for that guy. I wouldn't want to play for him at South Carolina, but can you imagine going to play for Shane Beamer? The guy isn't, I mean, it's just infectious. But with that said, Spencer Rattler has moments that he looks good, but his inconsistency is his problem. Then again, Kentucky, we are consistently told that they're just great. I mean, no, they're not a bad football team. Yeah, a couple of years ago they had a pretty solid football team, and they've had some solid football players come through there. I'm not taking that away from them, but they're not a top 10 football team. Please, for the love of anything sacred, please stop telling me how good they are. That's an interesting game because that could go either way. Kentucky's been a thorn in the side of South Carolina, from my memory serves me correct. And the game that we all will set our clocks for, Idaho State and Idaho. I'm just kidding. That would be a fun game to go to, just to see how few people are there and the size of their stadium / rec center. It's funny. I'm sorry. It's really, really funny. And then you get to the meat and potatoes of the day. This is most likely going to be a 3:30 game, CBS. I probably just got copyright strike for me doing that. Somebody's going to want me to pay royalties for mouth playing the theme to college football and CBS 3:30 game. That probably ended it all right there. All the years that I tried to buy the rules, me and my mouth musicianship just cost me. Georgia and Tennessee. Folks, I'm just telling you, go back. Joe Milton. Tennessee's good. Tennessee is good. Tennessee. I'd like to see Tennessee win this ball game. Joe Milton. Listen to me, Vol fans. Listen to me, Vol fans. I don't have a problem with you. I do not have a problem with you. So don't get mad at me. Don't go in posting, the score to the Orange Bowl. What happened. You beat us. Congratulations. That's the only good football game that Joe Milton has ever played while running the show from beginning to end against a decent opponent. Now, going out and throwing a dart against, Vanderbilt, throwing a dart against Doo-Doo State, that's not it. That's not it. The rest of his career has been a letdown. He had that one game against Clemson. And I will tell you this, we thank you for it. I thank you for it. And now it's kind of like that 70-33 loss we had to West Virginia. Kevin Steele got fired. Brent Venables got brought in. In this, Brandon Streeter, no offense, was over his head. He was not the right man for this role. It got us Garrett Riley. You helped us. It was painful. It was annoying. It was humiliating. But you helped us. And congratulations on your bowl win. I'm not talking trash about you. I'm just telling you, Tennessee fans, you need to be. Joe Milton. One good game. We can throw the ball from Knoxville all the way to Nashville. Good job. He can't throw a 5-yard out route without knocking down his receiver. Against a good opponent, not Vanderbilt. Georgia and Tennessee. I don't think Georgia will be number one at this point. I don't see it. Even if they're undefeated, I don't see them being number one. Kansas State and Kansas. That's an odd one. Wonder if Kansas can bring back any mojo whatsoever. Tulane and Florida Atlantic. I see Tulane right there. And I mean, this is preseason. They're ranked number 19. But they have the starting quarterback coming back, but that bear of a running back that they had, he's gone. They still have the same coach, but that guy's gone. Chase Henderson has made it, folks. Chase, thanks for waltzing again. I wanted to say waltzing, and I said walking. What an idiot. Not you, me. I mean, you are an idiot too, but we're friends, so we're both idiots. Tulane and the Fighting Tom Hermans of Florida Atlantic. See App State, James Madison. Tell me that this doesn't have like some type of upset written all over it. Texas and Iowa State. Matt Campbell, to me, he reminds me of PJ Fleck at Minnesota. Now, granted, I believe that PJ Fleck, by record, has done better. That's right off the top of my head. Y'all can go look that up. I'm not going to put you through that. In fact, I'll look it up. A lot of times, and I'll pause there. When you're doing a show like this and you're going through various teams and you start, waiting in the pool of ideas. Yes, I made that up and it's silly. You start to realize some stuff. And then even after I get off of here, I'll probably go look that up, but I won't put you through it. But Matt Campbell is a coach that just a few years ago was like, where's he going to end up? He's going to leave Iowa State. Iowa State's a tough place to coach. He's going to go somewhere. There's a lot of people liked him. And it's kind of blah now. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. Maybe he's a good coordinator. But the whole thing at Iowa State really hasn't turned around. Once again, you can't blame him for that. But doesn't this Iowa State-Texas game have upset written all over it? It does to me. Just for me saying that, the Longhorns win by 72 points, and you'll be like, you remember when that idiot said, yeah, yep. But there's something about that game that sounds really, really, really odd. UCF and Texas Tech, the only reason I bring it up, it's first, it's next to last. Nice play on words. And the Fighting Chuck Malzahns, couldn't you see him beating Texas Tech? I could. Chase, are you being facetious or are you being for real? So that is the conclusion of week 12 of college football preview. College football preview. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm thinking about going and taking me a nice little break, get me some water, and coming back and doing week 13. You say, why would you go ahead and do that? Well, Chase says he's being for real on the James Madison App State game. I will tell you this. I have looked into the Sun Belt because of several reasons. You know, one of the reasons why. James Madison's actually picked to finish in the lower tier of the Sun Belt. Apparently, they lost some talent. So they normally are really good. That might be a good game. And historically, they're really good. They tore up Coastal last year. But this year might be more of a rebuilding year. But then again, as soon as I say that, they'll tear it up. Appalachian State is a beautiful area as well. As one person told me, in Asheville, North Carolina, if you know anything about Asheville, North Carolina, I can stop you there. And if you don't, just go, well, you can message me offline and I can tell you things about Asheville. There's so much beauty around there and so many good places, but it's starting to get run down. So somebody said that Boone, North Carolina, where Appalachian State's located, all the rich hippies left Asheville when things started going down and they moved to Boone. We'll see. We will see. So, folks, that is week 12. I might go ahead and do week 13. I'm going to have to start working on the Clemson, the breakdown of their opponents. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to try to do more of a breakdown on them. Now, look, I'm not a big X's and O's guy. There is people who are fantastic at what they do. But there's something about me looking at a football team. And I can look at a team a lot of times and I can tell just something's off. Just something is, this player has it, whatever it is. And sometimes with X's and O's, guys, I would tell you, sometimes with X's and O's, they get caught up in the X's and the O's and they forget what the finished product's supposed to be. And so, to each their own. But I am going to break down the Clemson opponents. Of course, I'll do a preview on Clemson themselves, and I'm going to start doing a preview on other people, on other teams. So please pass this along. Hopefully you'll show up in just a second. I'm going to go live with the season with week 13. I told y'all I didn't have that much rest last night, so I'm paying for it. So I'll do the week 13 here in just a few. Yes, that's 3 videos in one day. If you didn't see my first video today, I did a video on Chad Morris joining the Clemson coaching staff as a volunteer coach. honestly, I think it's a really interesting video. Forget that it's me. It's just the information in it. He's volunteer coach Monday through Thursday, and then he's going to spend the weekends going to see his son Chandler play quarterback for TCU. I think it's a good move for Clemson. I've got a whole video on it. Go check it out, folks. I'll catch you in just a second, unless somebody stops me and I can't do it. But I'm going to do a video here in just a moment. Week 13 preview. College football is almost here. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for being here. It's good to see all of you. You take care, and I'll catch you in a few.